Hello beings! Welcome to the experiment. My name is Flamino, and today I'm going to show you my experience of spending 24 hours doing a dopamine fast. Before this video continues, leave a like here because it will really help my work. I really count on your support. And leave a comment because comments are very important. Those who have been following the channel for a long time know, right? So why did I decide to do this? Sometimes you guys must come to the channel and think, man, why does this guy do such random things, right? One day I'm going to a fetish house, another day I'm spending days without eating, then another day I'm gaining muscle mass quickly, and then another day I'm learning to meditate. Man, it's extremely random. And this time it was a dopamine fast. Why did I decide to do this dopamine fast? Because you guys asked for it. Because no sane person says, wow, cool, I think I'm gonna try to go a long time without any pleasure. I found this suggestion interesting and I thought, wow, why? Why would someone do a dopamine fast? And what am I going to do to make my brain stop releasing dopamine? For those who don't know exactly what dopamine is and what its function is, I'm going to explain it here in a very simple and straightforward way because I'm not an expert on this. Dopamine works like our reward system. It's what makes you feel happy. To make it very clear what dopamine is, people who have depression have low dopamine production. So why would a person in their right mind decide to go through a period without dopamine, to do a dopamine fast? There are benefits to doing a dopamine fast. And why are there benefits? Nowadays, with the situation we're in regarding technology, the ease of access to information and everything being entertainment, our dopamine is running wild like this, out of control. We're feeding this too much and we end up losing the pleasure of simple activities. Do you get it? We kind of end up in dopamine withdrawal all the time. Your brain is used to the internet, social media, your phone, overeating, sugar, all kinds of sensations that generate pleasure. That makes your body produce dopamine. So, this period of dopamine fasting is to make your brain go back to normal, return to regular dopamine levels, and for you to start feeling happiness from the simple things in life. And how do you do dopamine fasting? Well, there are some things that release more dopamine than others, right? And there are different levels of fasting. There are different periods of fasting. A person can do this for 24 hours in a more hardcore way, right? Cutting out as much as possible of what releases dopamine. Or the person can also cut out just a few things just to be able to keep it up for longer, for 5 or 7 days. At first I thought about doing 7 days, cutting out one thing here, another thing there, and that would already be a dopamine fast, but I wanted to do something a little more hardcore. I wanted to spend 24 hours without anything that would make my body release dopamine. So I kept thinking, okay, all the activities that make me happy, I won't do them, so I started my day of dopamine fasting. A day with the goal of not feeling pleasure in any way. To start, I already woke up naturally. Usually, I don't use an alarm clock for anything, I wake up naturally. Only when I really have appointments to keep scheduled commitments in the morning, then I set the alarm clock. Outside of that situation, I wake up at my body's natural time. When I wake up, I usually go back to sleep once or twice and then get up. So, I was about to wake up and then I usually take those little naps like always. But no, I'm on a dopamine fast. Those little naps are very pleasant, so no. This time, I woke up a little after 7 in the morning and said, okay, there won't be that second nap because that would give me extreme pleasure, which is really good, right? Sometimes that second nap after waking up is better than the whole night's sleep we had. And alright, I got up. As soon as I got up, I thought, wow man, what can I do, right? Anything I do now can give me pleasure and I have to be very, very careful about that because it's 24 hours without pleasure. What I truly love in the morning is breakfast. Man, breakfast is the most enjoyable moment of the day for me. Having my coffee and eating whatever fits in my diet, right? Because I'm a healthy guy, you know? So, alright, I said, okay, I've done so many worse things. What's the big deal about skipping breakfast? It's silly, right? I really like it, I really do, but it's simple to give up. It's not complicated. So, I went out to the balcony. Clear my mind and think about what I couldn't do, right? Just make a list. Make a little list of what I couldn't do so I could stay really aware of it. And then, alright, right? I was there writing down in my notepad the things I should do and I thought, damn man, I won't be able to use my phone all day. It started to weigh on me. I admit I'm addicted to my phone. I already did a 7-day experiment on the channel without social media or my phone. It was complicated, so I said, alright, I'll turn off the internet and spend the whole day without my phone. I've done this before. So in 24 hours, even though I felt that anxiety of wanting to check notifications, of wanting to see the channel's engagement, because I'm addicted to that, to constantly checking the channel's statistics, one thing I didn't stop doing was drinking water, right? Drinking water is super important. I wasn't going to get dehydrated during the day because of an experiment like this. Yeah, it's also not something I consider to be a dopamine hack, so drinking water is just normal. I recommend you drink it. Stay hydrated because it's really important. I don't want to set a bad example of not drinking water here. Drink water. I noticed that while I was drinking water, I left my phone in the corner and it stayed there almost all day. So, I was successful in my goal of not using my phone. Wow, looking at notification after notification and not going there to click on them. Woo! Man, that must generate a crazy amount of dopamine, you know? Like, you click on the notification just so it disappears from the screen, you know? And then you're like, next, do it. And, okay, that feeling of uselessness already started to hit, right? Then I said, man, let's do something useful at least, right? I started cleaning my house. But as soon as I started, I realized, man, as soon as I finish cleaning the house, I'm going to have that feeling of accomplishment. I couldn't even be useful to myself. Not even work on things that will be finished and bring me happiness. What a crappy experience. Remember, it was me who adapted it. I took this experience to the extreme. In regular dopamine fasts, people don't stop working, they don't stop cleaning, they just cut out the really extreme stuff. But that didn't stop me from working. Anyway, I said, no, I'm going to work because I know my work won't be finished today. So it won't trigger that reward system thing, right? Because I wasn't even close to finishing my work. There are tasks I have to do that are long-term, right? But what was starting to bother me was the hunger. I was starving. I hadn't had breakfast, I hadn't had lunch. And when you're fasting, not just from dopamine, but actually fasting from food, I decided to go 24 hours without eating, so I wouldn't have pleasure even from eating. Time stops. Actually, while I was drinking water, I kept imagining that toasted bread, fresh coffee being made right then. Wow, I kept thinking about that so much, my god. So because I had no form of pleasure, no food, no coffee, I could hardly do any activity, I couldn't even meditate. I was about to start meditating and I thought, man, I like to meditate. So, does it release dopamine? Well, because I wouldn't be doing anything. Then I went to Google again to search if meditation releases dopamine. And yes, meditation releases dopamine. So I couldn't even meditate during the day. Man, I had such a strong urge to, I don't know, grab a board game and play against myself, study chess. I'm doing this experiment where I study chess. And I really like it. I was like, man, not even that I can do. No, I can't study things I like. In general, I don't like studying. But chess is extremely enjoyable. It's something out of the ordinary. I've never enjoyed studying something as much as I enjoy studying chess. Sometimes I'd forget I was on a dopamine fast and just work calmly alone. Then I would look at the guitar and say, I'll just pick up the guitar to pass the time. Then I'd think, no, I like playing the guitar. Music is also something that releases dopamine, so I couldn't listen to music all day. I couldn't do anything related to music. Man, what a crappy experience. It already felt like I'd been doing it for 10 days, and it was only halfway through the day. Time wouldn't pass, and the hunger kept getting worse, right? I recently did a fasting experiment. I'll leave a link in the card here. And because of that, I learned that I can go a long time without eating. So the hunger wasn't a big deal. It really wasn't a big deal. So I wanted to eat, but I wasn't that hungry. I started to feel really hungry at night. So I felt like talking to friends. I was a little worried about work, getting emails and not replying. Because that's how I am. When I get an email, I reply right away. I don't like it when I send a message to people and they take a long time to reply. So I'm also not the kind of person who takes a long time to respond. Especially when it comes to work. And then, one thing that might have made this experience a disaster, which was closer to the end of the day. The end of the day, literally. Close to midnight, right? I said that it would end at midnight. Because I started this experience at midnight the day before. So, after completing 24 hours, I could eat, I could talk to friends and everything, I could go back to normal life. And when I was getting close to that time, I started to feel that happiness. But at the same time, I started to worry about breaking the fast. Because with anticipation, that whole reward system thing started to kick in. And then I thought, damn, I can't believe I can't even go 24 hours without a dopamine spike, right? I was really happy that I was going to be able to eat. I was going to be able to talk to everyone again. And that's exactly what I did. It was 12:05 a.m. and I had already done like 4 activities. I was already preparing food. I was already making coffee. At midnight I was making coffee. Sending messages to friends. All at once, you know? My thoughts are that doing it the way I did, I don't think it's worth it. I didn't notice any benefit from it. Yeah, I believe there must be some benefit that just wasn't visible to me, right? Yeah, I'm also not that guy who's extremely addicted to technology. I'm not addicted to watching TV shows. I barely watch TV shows. I don't listen to music during the day. My biggest addiction, which still isn't extreme, is social media. And it's nothing extreme. I think there must have been some control over the level of dopamine in my brain. But I didn't notice any benefit. I wouldn't do it again. Yeah, I saw on the internet that people who are already losing enjoyment in life, that you do things you used to enjoy before and you no longer feel the same pleasure. Or people who have a peak of pleasure during the early hours of the morning, which is the time they're in front of the computer. These are the people who need to go through a dopamine fast. So, for this kind of situation, that's what I recommend. Yeah, it's pretty rare for me to recommend the experiments I do here to the people who follow me, but this is one that I recommend for these extreme cases. Well, that's it for this video. If you like this experiment, leave a like here to support my work. And see you in the next experiment. Should I be honest? I didn't have to. I could lie down here right now. I've recorded the take. I could just lie here, look. Go back to sleep, turn off the camera, and no one would know that I went back to sleep. Why am I honest? Shit, I want to sleep.